Another very common coding assessment problem is the longest substring without repeating characters. And the idea is how long of a substring can you capture that have only unique characters showing up in there. And so if we take a look at example 1, we see that if we try length 5 substring, we'll notice that no matter what substring of length 5 we have duplicated characters in that substring. So our task is to find the longest of those substrings that are strictly unique characters inside of them. So in example 1, we have that 3 is the answer. So you'll notice if we try anything longer than 3, it's not going to come out to work, and we have duplicated characters. So first we'll need the length of our string s, because we're going to want to traverse it, and we want to traverse it in a very interesting way. And we also need to keep track of the characters that we already saw. So we'll have a dictionary. We need a maximum length that we'll keep track of as well. We need 2 pointers, I and j, at 0 and 0. Now we'll say while I is less than n and j is less than n, while I is less than n and j is less than n, L equals Sj. So here's the character that we have, and we need to find if there is a duplicate in the next step, or if there's no duplicate in the next step, move on. So we'll say if d.get L 0 equals 0, okay, that means it hasn't been seen before, then dl equals 1, and increment j. Continue. So now we don't need to run any code after this because we found a character that hasn't been seen before, and we want to continue to gather the length of that substring of unique characters. In the event that it is a character that we have seen before, then we say mx equals max of mx j minus I. J minus I, that's the distance between the first unique character we saw and the newly duplicated version of it, which is the second time we saw it around, which does not include it in the distance, j minus I. And then we'll say while dl is 1, d of si minus equals 1. So we decrement the number of times we saw that character because we're going to increment I. And the idea is that we continue to decrement the characters in the dictionary that we traverse with I, because we want to get to the point where the newly found duplicated character moves down to a frequency of 1. And then finally we update our max. Mx equals max of mx j minus I, and then we return mx. We run, accepted, submit, outstanding.